Hi, everyone. I'm Isabella Cecchi, and I am the Collaborative Initiatives intern here at YVSC. My project was focusing on public engagement towards climate action, specifically from the 20 to 40-year-old demographic. So a little bit about me. I'm from Newport, Rhode Island. I'm currently attending Rollins College in Florida, where I'm studying environmental studies with minors in sustainable development and political science. I just moved here about a year ago. This is my first summer here. So I'm enjoying all of the great activities Steamboat has to offer. So my mentor was Ashley Dean from YVSC. She is our Collaborative Initiatives Manager. So a little bit of background. So the Routt County Climate Action Plan Collaborative has been spending the past 2 years creating a plan that identifies actionable strategies and recommendations through the economy, land use, transportation, energy, and and I said transportation sectors to help reduce our carbon emissions in Routt County. The collaborative has held an open house in June, and this was the first opportunity for the public to come and comment on these. It was a really great event. These are some examples of what the plan looks like for energy. They have very detailed strategies and actions that we could do to implement them. So it's been a part of my project to create a way to effectively promote and communicate these recommendations to the public. This age group is really important, the 20 to 40-year-old, because statistically in Steamboat, we're just not showing up or participating. So discovering how to effectively communicate with them will really help us out. So my project objectives, my goal is to discover how to effectively promote the Routt County CAP. Lost us there. Okay, let's go back. Yeah, okay. So our goal, promote the CAP and enhance communications to the public for YVSC. Some of the questions that I answered for my project are, how are other organizations successful in community outreach? Which outreach strategies motivate climate action? And what incentives motivate climate action? And what are the barriers that restrict it? So I implemented a post-CAP open house survey just to see how well the collaborative relayed information. So you can see I only had about a 12% response rate out of 150 attendees, and that's pretty normal for this social work, but over 60% of attendees thought we did very well at communicating our recommendations. I also asked if they think that we will make a difference towards climate change and climate action, and over 50% said we will. So for my methods, I observed Walking Mountain Science Center organization in Eagle County. I interviewed some staff members. Elizabeth Bauer, she is their marketing and community initiatives planner over there, as well as Gina McCracken, who is the climate action plan manager over in Eagle County. I created the post open house survey, a climate action survey. I held multiple face-to-face conversations and other interviews. So this is an example of some of the questions I asked in my climate action survey. So how old are you? Where are you getting most of your information? Are you participating in climate action work, and what are you doing? And have any of these below kept you from taking part in climate action? So do you feel too far removed? This isn't going to affect me in my day-to-day life. I'm overwhelmed about the amount of things needed to do to make a difference. I'm too busy or focused on other issues. I'm stressed or anxious about climate action things, or I'm not too concerned or interested. So some key takeaways from my CAP open house. I had many meaningful conversations with people, and I discovered a big difference between my conversation with like the older crew and the younger ones. The younger conversations were a little bit more broad. For example, one of the barriers keeping this younger generation from participating is the wealth gap in Steamboat. Our younger people can't really afford to take time off work or attend events like this with like the little time that they have. And also the cost of living in Steamboat is a lot. So most of our workforce here commutes either from Hayden or Oak Creek or other places. And that's a really big commute. So this population can really benefit from more accessible public transportation and other things. So another question I asked at the open house was if they'd be willing to become politically involved, and over 60% said they would be. So for my climate action survey, I mostly got most of my feedback from my personal network and sending it out to people. I also shared it through email, social media, mostly Instagram, and I also attended the farmers market. I had a tent and I gave out free popsicles in exchange for doing my survey. I bought 200 popsicles and only gave out 10. So yeah. But I got a really great response. I got about 67 responses, and over 55% of them were between the demographic that I was looking at, which is really great. Can't really see it very well, but this question right here asks if an increase in education and accessibility to resources would help you become more engaged in climate action. And over 55% responded said, yes, it would be. And then a really great response here. Do you feel like there's a disconnect between public knowledge and emerging research, news, and science behind environmental issues and climate change? We had a really great response. 83% of people said, yes, there is a disconnect. So that's really significant. I also looked at where people are getting their information from. This will be really helpful for future communications. So we have over 45% get their information from Instagram. Then we have word of mouth through family or friends at 40%. Then we have a pretty low percentage for email lists at 24%, which is really great to know because that's where YVSC and the collaborative sends out their newsletters and other blog posts. I also asked what people are doing. Over 70% of people are already composting and recycling. Another 70% are still supporting local businesses, which is really great. And we have about 50% of people are starting to become more energy efficient. So my key takeaways from some personal interviews that I held to figure out what restricts climate action in people and what really motivates them. I had a great conversation with Wynn. She was our waste diversion director here at YVSC. And so people are really reluctant when it comes to recycling because of how problematic it is. There needs to be a lot more transparency with where our waste is going. Here in Steamboat, our waste is privatized, so there's no really regulations on where recycling is going to be, if it's actually going through the recycling place or into our landfill. So an increase in education will really help people motivate them to recycle more. I met with the Eco Club at Steamboat Springs High School. I met with Shay, Connor, and Thomas. So they are representing a little bit younger community, which is really good to know because, again, they're also our future. So some of their barriers are time restrictions. So that includes, school, homework, extracurricular activities like sports or work. And also our town council meetings are held at an inaccessible time for this age group. They're at like 9 o'clock on a Friday or something during public school hours, so they can't really attend. And the voting age, you don't really want to participate if you're not legally allowed to. So that's one. And then also climate anxiety was a really great conversation. So that climate anxiety is like this attitude of being doomed because our environment is kind of falling to the ground. So also like, how are we supposed to focus on big things like going to college or buying a house or buying a car when, you know, someday there really won't be a great environment for us to live in or for our future generations to live in. So the best way for this group to get engaged is to show them that other people do care and that we are taking our own ways towards climate action and we are doing things. So promoting that a little bit more is really great. So some recommendations that I have for YVSC and the collaborative is becoming more engaged with social media and messaging strategies. So that includes like using more humor or other pop culture techniques to message these younger age groups. Having an easy to navigate and captivating website. You really want to go onto a website and have it be really attractive, and where do I go? How do I get involved? Some tools you can use is Google Analytics. This is great. It allows you to see how many people are viewing your website and specifically how long they are. So 50 people can click on your website a day, but if they're only looking at it for a minute or two, it's not very significant. And HubSpot is another tool that you can use to create and design a website that is very easy. So anyone in the office is able to access and edit the website whenever they want. For the CAP collaborative, collaborating with higher education and utilizing student projects for CAP implementation, I think would be great. Using students can be a way to also resolve climate anxiety and get them involved. And also, I think for the CAP, even starting like an internship program that can, you could give students the opportunity to really help the collaborative out and have all hands on deck for implementing these strategies. And then another one for recycling barriers in Steamboat. There needs to be effective ordinances that provide data to the public about recycling reports. There are no regulations requiring Twin Enviro to report how much materials they recycle. And this is really discouraging people to keep recycling because they don't know if they're actually doing it or if we're just wasting our money recycling. So people will have more faith in something when they know it's reliable. Some personal takeaways, surveying techniques. I created a lot of surveys and only a couple of them got some good responses. So my first couple of surveys didn't get much feedback. So I changed going from multiple long responses to easier to answer to more multiple choice questions. This is my first independently led project. So it gave me more responsibility towards a project I could really create as my own. This is my first professional work experience in my field of study. And I was able to learn how a nonprofit is structured and other practices, which is really great. Other YVSC projects, again, the open house. We went to the Insight Art for Climate Action, which was so much fun. The farmer's market, that's me at my stand. That's my many popsicles no one ate. And the YVSC kickball game, where I got a little bit too competitive, but it's okay. It was a lot of fun. Some acknowledgements. Shay Spear. Shay's back there. Hi, Shay. She is our youth board member and president of the Eco Club. She brought Thomas Cooper and Connor Fritzen to join me. Gina McCracken and Elizabeth Bayer from Walking Mountains. Dakota Dolan, thanks for being such a great intern manager. I'd like to thank Michelle Stewart for giving me this opportunity, and of course, my intern crew. Any questions?
You had a lot of really great ideas that I'm really excited to try and use for like how to increase engagement. I was wondering, is there one that you think is like your favorite or that you think would be the most effective out of this?
I think mostly like the whole like social media thing, like really getting into it on Instagram, I guess, for this age demographic. Like personally, I don't have Facebook, so I didn't look into that because I don't know how to use it. So so that, and I looked at like the Walking Mountains Instagram page, and they're really like, they got it going on over there. So yeah, that. Kate.
I think one thing we struggle with in terms of organizational communications is, I think the younger demographics are very accustomed to short form content, taking in things really quickly. And there's also this other side of it where longer form content is preferred by us to share information because oftentimes there's like so much to get across in terms of subject matter. So what do you think would be a strategy for like finding a
I would say like the short captivating clip that, you know, gets our attention, because our attention span is like this big, and then having more information like in the link or the caption or something. Yeah. Yes.
You can talk a bit about the at the open house, the grant response part of the older demographics and stuff. Was there anything you noticed was more of a unified
I think just the lack of education. People aren't very aware of like, I guess, everything that's going on. So I think that's like a big unifying front. Just lack of information and where you can get it, I guess.
I think there's some
There's a question here. Great presentation. Walking Mountains is a little further along in the process of reaching out and engaging the public. Did they have any strategies they passed on that were particularly successful?
Let me think. I think, well, my information of the humor on social media is really what I gained from them. Yeah, so I think just like being like taking part in more pop culture techniques on social media is like, I guess, a big answer. Yeah.
There's one more question here. Great presentation, Isabella. Your back-to-back surveys provide a great example of expanded participation. You mentioned your use of your own personal network as successful. How do we build on this? Do you have recommendations for how the CAP might seek and capitalize on valuable personal networks?
Okay. I guess when I said my personal network, I sent it to the 40 girls on my lacrosse team, and they all helped me out a lot. I think that, you know, living in such a small connected town and such a big state really allows us to take advantage of those personal networks. Like we all know so many people here. I've only been here for 2 months, but I've made so many great connections, and I think we could all really take advantage of that. Like, you know, asking all of your family to take part in something and really support your community, because, you know, you live here and you really should care because this is where you live.
That's great. There's one more question here. Great presentation. Great job grounding your insights in data collection. It sounds like social media / Instagram are very important educational opportunities. To get at your data on the disconnect between public education and broader scientific info, what kind of baseline information do you think we should focus on first?
That's a great question. I think what we can attack like first, I don't know, like, the most important thing first, which whatever that would be, I don't know, maybe like, I think the whole waste diversion is a really great place to start, because the whole community can come together and really we can make a huge difference immediately if we all go to our town council meetings and ask our council people to start making a change because we really need one. So I think maybe that would be where to start.
That's great.
I was also wondering, so the social media part, did you look into it all, like, how well social media will translate into like action and like, is youth engaging with social media about climate the same as youth engaging with climate in real life?
I think if you get a big enough audience, it can translate. We've seen a lot of huge social movements start on social media and then completely translate into real life, like, you know, like the BLM movement, LGBT parades and things. It really starts really small and then there's just so much opportunity for it to blow up. So I think we could totally see a lot of engagement in real life through starting there. Yeah.